The disappearance of 19-year-old Alison Benitez, a beauty queen, and her 53-year-old mother, Marie-José Benitez, in July of 2013 shocked France and captivated the world. Their vanishing set off a nationwide investigation that revealed chilling details about their family's Spanish patriarch, Francisco Paco Benitez, a former French Foreign Legion chief warrant officer. His subsequent suicide deepened suspicions about his involvement in their disappearance, yet the case remains unsolved, marked by a tragic lack of closure for the family and for the public. The last confirmed sighting of Alison and Marie-José Benitez occurred on July 14th of 2013 in Perpignan, a city in the Pyrénées-Orientales region of southern France. Both women were reported missing by Francisco Benitez on July 22nd, 8 days after their disappearance, following concerns raised by both women's friends and colleagues. According to Francisco, his wife and daughter left the family home without notice, claiming they were heading to Toulouse for unspecified reasons. However, no witnesses confirmed seeing them leave the residence, and their phones mysteriously remained active in the Perpignan area after their supposed departure, raising red flags to authorities about Francisco's account. Alison Benitez was a promising young woman who had recently competed in the Miss Roussillon beauty pageant and was a finalist. Her ambitions and close relationship with her mother made it unlikely that she would disappear without informing someone she loved. Marie-José Benitez, née Barbé, was described as a devoted mother of 5 who would never have left without telling someone. She had 4 children from a previous relationship, with Alison being her only child with Francisco. Yet, despite initial efforts to locate both of the women, no concrete clues surfaced in the days following their mysterious disappearances. 50-year-old Francisco presented himself to police as a cooperative and grieving husband and father, even participating in media appeals for the safe return of his wife and daughter in a video filmed by his weeping stepdaughter and posted online by French magazine Paris Match. Expressing his supposed concern in the 2-minute video, he said, quote, "The hardest part for us was to read the things that people have commented and said without knowing our private lives. People who know me know that Alison is my everything. Today I am unsure whether we will find my daughter. She's already been gone for 3 weeks, and my daughter wouldn't do something like this. Legionnaire or not legionnaire, it's a question of the heart, of family. That's it." However, investigators soon began to scrutinise his behaviour and his background. His story of the women leaving voluntarily became increasingly inconsistent, and his actions in the days after their disappearance, particularly his lack of urgency in reporting them missing in the first place, raised further suspicion that something was awry. By August 2nd, authorities launched a preliminary inquiry into the unusual vanishing of the pair. Notably, neither Alison or Marie had driver's licenses, nor did any CCTV in the area capture them taking public transport to Toulouse, casting further doubt on Francisco's account. Neither woman received any phone calls following their disappearances, didn't post on social media, and no transactions were made on their bank accounts. Alison even had an appointment the following day in preparation for the Miss France modelling contest, which she failed to attend. When questioned further, Francisco claimed that his wife had left him due to marital problems. Searches for the pair were conducted, but unfortunately to no avail. As the police investigation unfolded, disturbing discoveries came to light. First, forensic experts found traces of blood, invisible to the naked eye, in the family's Perpignan apartment, specifically in the bathroom, which had been meticulously cleaned, and at the foot of Francisco's bed. DNA tests later determined that the blood belonged to Alison Benitez, casting doubt again on Francisco's claims that the women had left of their own free will. Investigators also noted that Francisco had washed the family's car on the day they disappeared, another action that raised suspicions. Further inquiries into Francisco's past revealed a darker, more troubling picture. On November 29th of 2004, 28-year-old Simone Oliveira Alves, a former Guyanese lover of Francisco's from Brazil, vanished under similar circumstances in Nîmes. Simone was notably unaware that Francisco was married, as he had told her he was divorced. Unbeknownst to Oliveira Alves, and many others as it would turn out, Francisco had a string of lovers. The affair with Simone lasted for 6 years, and several violent outbursts occurred, including an instance where he stripped Simone and abandoned her at the side of a road. Just days prior to her disappearance, Simone had been hospitalised, but it was not clear what for. A Paris Match report cites possibly a suicide attempt or a miscarriage, though some speculate perhaps this was following another rage-fueled outburst from Benitez. Francisco told police that he had ended their relationship on December 2nd. However, this was 2 days after Simone was last seen. At the time, Francisco was investigated but never charged due to lack of evidence. However, in light of Alison and Marie-José's disappearances, police reopened the Simone Oliveira case, suspecting a potential pattern of violence and deceit in Francisco's relationships. Similarly to Marie, Simone left behind 4 children. Marie texted her loved ones, allegedly, following her disappearance, with 2 haunting words: "I'm leaving." Lydia, Marie's eldest daughter, received a message from her mother, but it was full of unusual mistakes. Quote, "I made a difficult decision to make, but it's better this way. I'm going to Toulouse with Alison. It's going to be difficult at first, and that's why I didn't want to call. I love you. Call Dad. Tired of these arguments." Investigators also examined the phones of both Alison and Marie-José. Contrary to Francisco's claims that they had left for Toulouse, their phones remained active in the Perpignan area for several days after their disappearances. The activity suggested that the women had not left the area as Francisco had stated, strengthening the theory that foul play had occurred inside the family home. The discovery of blood and the inconsistencies in Francisco's story led investigators to focus more intensely on him as the primary suspect. However, just as the evidence was mounting, the case took a dramatic turn. On August 5th of 2013, less than a month after Alison and Marie-José disappeared, Francisco Benitez was found dead by suicide at the French Foreign Legion barracks in Perpignan, where he worked. He hanged himself with a scarf after conversing with another one of his lovers in Barcelona over the phone, leaving behind a written note in which he proclaimed his innocence regarding his wife and daughter's disappearance, a sentiment which was echoed in his earlier public appeal with Paris Match magazine. His note expressed despair over the accusations, but offered no clues or explanations regarding their fate. Rather oddly, prior to his death, Francisco sent his lover a parcel in the mail of a purple scarf and a note which read, "You'll understand later. I love you, Kiko." Francisco's suicide was widely interpreted as an admission of guilt, though to others, him taking his own life was seen as an act of a man crushed by grief and the pressure of being wrongfully accused. In the days leading up to his death, Francisco had been cooperating with police, but was visibly distressed by the media attention and the intensifying investigation. His suicide shocked investigators and the public alike, as it both removed the prime suspect from the investigation and further complicated the search for the truth. The death of Francisco Benitez, instead of providing closure, cast a darker shadow overhead. His military colleagues and friends who initially stood by him were stunned by his actions. His suicide also left critical questions unanswered, as the only person who might have known the full details about what happened to Alison and Marie was now dead. Furthermore, forensic investigators who were working at the barracks found traces of Alison's blood in the drain pipe of a freezer and on the seal of a door of a tumble dryer, which had recently been donated to the barracks by Benitez. Interestingly, witnesses claimed to have seen Francisco cleaning the freezer and the tumble dryer shortly after his wife and daughter vanished. From the moment Alison and Marie were reported missing, the case attracted significant media attention, both in France and internationally. Several factors contributed to this media frenzy. First, Alison Benitez's recent successes as a beauty queen, adding a tragic dimension to the story. The image of a young, vibrant woman celebrated for her beauty and ambition, suddenly disappearing alongside her devoted mother, captivated the public's imagination. Additionally, the involvement of Francisco Benitez, a respected officer of the French Foreign Legion, added a layer of intrigue. The contrast between his disciplined military background and the suspicion surrounding him created a narrative that was irresistible to the press. Media outlets speculated on his potential double life, his previous relationships, and the possibility that he had been involved in more than one disappearance. The media's focus on the Benitez family also included intimate coverage of their private lives, with reporters delving into past relationships and documenting the reactions of family and friends. As the case developed, the press also covered the investigation with near-daily updates, keeping the public engaged in the unfolding drama. In October 2013, 3 months after Alison and Marie-José disappeared, the investigation seemed to take a significant turn when remains were discovered near a canal outside Perpignan. Eric Barbet, Marie's brother, was alerted of the discovery by a walker and collected the bones himself before handing them over to authorities for analysis. The discovery sparked widespread speculation that the bones might belong to the missing woman. However, DNA tests later revealed that the bones were not related to the Benitez case and were in fact animal bones, dealing a heavy blow to investigators and dashing the hopes of the family and public, who were eager for answers. Despite this setback, the investigation has continued. Over the years, authorities have re-examined the evidence, hoping for new leads that could provide some sort of closure. However, without any significant breakthroughs or the discovery of Alison and Marie-José's remains, the case remains unsolved, leaving investigators, the public, and the victims' families in a state of ongoing frustration. For the family of Alison and Marie-José, the unresolved case has been a source of continuous heartache, with Marie's brother in particular having spoken publicly about the emotional toll the case has taken on him and the rest of the family. In interviews, he has expressed his anguish over the lack of definitive answers and his frustration with the slow pace of the investigation. Quote, "Every day I search for the truth." What began as a troubling missing persons case quickly spiralled into a web of intrigue involving blood evidence, phone records, a previous disappearance, and the tragic suicide of the main suspect. Motive has always appeared elusive, though many believe Alison discovered of her father's infidelity and perhaps was going to reveal this to her mother. According to Paris Match, during Christmas of 2012, Alison saw texts on her father's phone to another one of his lovers who happened to work with him and with whom he'd had an affair with for approximately 6 months. One of his other lovers described him as insatiable, with a large ego, but he also often expressed loneliness, which was an easy way to entice his lovers. Paris Match summed Benitez up perfectly. The charmer becomes a tragedian. Following Alison's discovery of her father's infidelity, an argument ensued and he left, finding himself in a makeshift bed at his office. Even though his family life was falling apart, his wife even contacting a divorce attorney on the day she disappeared, that very same night he continued to hunt for more women to engage in affairs with. The theory he killed his wife and daughter because of his secrets and lies being exposed certainly seems a possibility in this case. Though Francisco made sure his plea video was published the night prior to his suicide, he made sure his stepchildren were safe in Seville in Spain and spent his final night on Earth apologising to all of the women he had engaged in affairs with and asking for their forgiveness. Several of these women grew concerned, pleading with him, "Don't do anything stupid," to which he responded with a shirtless photograph of himself, taken just 2 hours before he ended his life. Francisco was cremated following his death and was buried in Seville Cemetery in Spain, with no epitaph written upon his final resting place. Unfortunately, without any solid proof or evidence, it's difficult to say with 100% certainty whether Francisco did indeed kill his wife and daughter, though it's difficult to ignore the startling amounts of evidence which incriminates him. As investigators continue their work, the hope remains that advances in forensic science or a new witness might someday provide the breakthrough needed to solve this heartbreaking case. Hopefully, Alison and Marie-José's loved ones will one day find the answers and closure they so desperately seek.